Good morning. Myself Ankar Sahay from USCDDAVPS Public School Maharajganj. We have to study today the sexual reproduction in organisms and plants. Sexual reproduction is the process of formation of new individuals from the parental combination of their own kind. Parental combination refers means father's and mother's contribution. Father contribution is male gamete and mother's contribution is female gamete. And after their contribution, this male gamete and female gamete is facilitated to be fused and make a new structure that is called zygote. That zygote divides and develops for the different period of time, make the embryo, and that embryo finally make new body, new individual in the next generation. Sexual reproduction, when you are going to study in the case of the plants, when you are taking the seeds and broadcast to them into the agricultural field in the soil, seeds start to germinate. When seeds start to germinate, that will make the root, stem, and leaves. This phase in which the seed start to germinate and making the root, stem, and leaves. This phase in which the plant mature itself vegetatively, not reproductive part is going to be formed, not flower is going to be matured to that point when that can reproduce sexually, that can make the male gamete and female gamete. The different part of the flower is forming, different part of the plant is forming, root, stem, leaves, and birds are forming. This phase is called juvenile phase or vegetative phase. Now flower forms, and after the formation of flowers, now the male gamete, male structure stamen form, female structure pistil form, and this male and female structure of the flower mature and make the pollen grains, make the egg. So this phase when the male gamete inside the pollen grain or female gamete inside the ovary or ovule are forming means preparing itself for the sexual reproduction. This phase in which the the part of the plant is preparing itself for the sexual reproduction, that is called reproductive phase. And after this phase, after the reproductive phase, when the pollen grain has been transferred, uh, pollination has taken place and the fusion between the male gamete and female gamete has been facilitated, zygote has formed. After this phase, now the embryos formed, flower, seed has formed, fruit has formed. This total phase is reproductive phase. And after the formation of all these things, now the cells of the plant body, the tissue of the plant body become less efficient, start to die physiologically, their efficiency decreases, and finally they get their death. This phase in which the less efficient cells or tissues are formed, this phase is called senescent phase, and after senescent phase finally death take place. So we can categorize a plant in three sections, in three types. Just the total life cycle has been divided in three phases. One is the vegetative phase, second is the reproductive phase, third is the senescent phase, and finally death is taking place. So this total phases of the life cycle. On this basis, you can divide the plants in three sections. One is annual, second is biennial, and third is perennial. Annual plants. Annual plants are those plants in which the seed is scattered in the agricultural field, broadcast in the agricultural field. They start to germinate. They make root, stem, and leaves. They make flower. They make fruits. And after that, their death occur. This phase, from 4 months to 6 months, it may be. So this phase in one season, if the plant having all these different stages of growth and finally death is taking place, such type of plants which flowers and finally die in one season, that is called annual plant. Annual plant are those plants which have the vegetative growth, reproductive phase, and the senescent phase and death is taking place in only one season and year. These plants are called annual plants. Now you are coming to second plant, that is called biennial plant. Biennial. Bi means two. In the first year, after the broadcast of the seed start to germinate. Seed is making root, stem and leaves, plantlet. Plantlet is vegetatively maturing. It is making the flower and fruit. So this phase will be categorized into two sections. In the first year, only the root, stem and leaves are formed. And after the winter, second year, when the favorable conditions arrives, flowering is taking place, fruit formation is taking place. When the life cycle of the plant is taking place through two consecutive years, such type of plants are called biennial plants. Now the third type of plant, that is called perennial plant. This plant perennial for many years. This plants having the life cycle of many years. Yeah, more than 2 or 3 years. This type of plants have the vegetative growth, have the reproductive phase, taking place for many years. Such type of plants are called perennial plants. But you have to see some other examples too here. Some if a plant we can identify, that is the Astrobilanthus kunthiana. Its name is Nila Koranji too. Astrobilanthus kunthiana. In NCERT book it is detailed. It flowers all the alternation of 12 years. The book is referring you in the 12th class biology first chapter. You can see Astrobilanthus kunthiana flowered previously in 2006 September-October month, and it means if it flowers on the alternation of 12 years, it will flower. It must have flowered in 2018, and again after 12 years means in 2030 it will flower. Astrobilanthus kunthiana having the flowering mode. This type of mode of flowering is seen in the Astrobilanthus kunthiana. There is another example given, bamboo. It has unusual flowering mechanism. It flowers after the period of 50 to 100 years, and after getting flowered, it die. 50 to 100 years is the period of flowering. Once in life, it flowers. Bamboos flowers once in life after the 50 and 100 years of maturity, and after flowering, it dies. So these are the different types of plants. When you are coming in the case of animals, we will discuss about the two types of animals are here. One having the ostrich cycle and one having the menstrual cycle. Ostrich cycles means we will see some animals will breed, will reproduce seasonally in the particular season. After the 1 year or 2 year gap, that will reproduce seasonally by means of ostrich cycle. Means their egg formation, yeah, their reproductive period come in the particular season, like in the tiger, in the deer, in the cows, in the yeah, uh, other examples are given like that. You can see here, this is the sheep, rat, this type of animals, ostrich cycle. When you are coming, these are, as this ostrich cycle is happening in particular season, they reproduce once in 1 year or 2 years. When you will go to the ape, human and monkeys, these are called primates on the basis of menstrual cycle. And menstrual cycle, as we know, we have studied in the previous classes, taking place on the every 28 days alternation. Means these animals, apes, monkeys, human, can breed continuously throughout the year. So these are called continuous breeders. But when you will talk about the rat, deer, tiger, that will have the seasonal breeders, that will have the seasonal breeding period, means on the basis of their ostrich cycle, which appears only once in 1 or 2 years. That means their egg formation and sperms forms once or twice, 1 or 2 year gaps. So that, and these are called seasonal breeders. Now we will study about the different phases of sexual reproduction, and these different phases or events in the sexual reproduction can be categorized in three categories. Sexual reproduction is taking place through three different phases. One is pre-fertilization phase, in which the gamete formation takes place, in which the gamete transfer takes place. Second is fertilization phase, means male gamete and female gamete fuse with each other. In this phase, zygote is formed. And third one is post-fertilization phase. Post-fertilization phase means after the zygote formation, now the zygote divides for different periods in different organisms and develop into new organisms. So this three different phases. One is the pre-fertilization phase, second is the fertilization phase, and third is the post-fertilization phase, make the total sexual reproduction cycle. But in the different organisms, we will have to identify when you are coming to the pre-fertilization phase. Then this pre-fertilization phase is composed of two phases. One is the gametogenesis, and second is the gamete transfer. Gametogenesis means the process of formation of gametes, the phase in which the gametes are formed by the male reproductive structure and the female reproductive structure. So the process of formation of gametes in the particular phase taking place, that phase is known as gametogenesis. The gametogenesis is the process of formation of male gamete and female gamete. And you have to know that there are two types of gametes found in different organisms. One is isogamete and second is heterogamete. One is isogamete. Iso means similar. The gametes which are morphologically similar. Morphologically similar. Their shape and size are similar. Their genetics are not similar. Their chromosomal traits, characters are not similar. And heterogametes means they are morphologically different and physiologically different, and as well you can see that genetically different. Means female gametes will be larger, male gametes will be smaller. And isogametes is seen in the case of cladophora. There is an alga, and in alga, isogametes are those gametes whose shape and size, male gametes and female gametes shape and size are similar. And in human or in that is fucus and alga, it is given in a book that female gametes are larger than the male gametes, and male gametes are motile and female gametes are stationary. Female gametes are larger. Why these are larger? Because have the stored food material. Because after getting fused by the male gamete, it will spend its stored food in the development of zygote to the embryo. So I will show you the figure of the isogametes and the heterogametes here. Isogametes I have shown, that is the cladophora, and heterogametes, this is fucus, and heterogametes in humans, female gamete is larger and male gamete is smaller. In fucus too, female gamete is larger and male gamete is smaller. And in isogametes you see that both gametes having the physiological similarity, physical similarity, shape and size are similar. So these are the different types of gametes found in different organisms. Thanks.